So today I'm going to discuss the magazine conventions and neo-noir conventions that are used or subverted for our magazine front cover for Sight and Sound. So the first one I'm going to discuss is the convention of having a masthead, and as you can see that is here that we did use this convention. It says the International Film Magazine Sight and Sound. So the title is large, bold and in colour. This 60 convention of the title standing out, being the first thing that an audience or reader will see when they pick up the magazine, and they are able to quickly configure what magazine it is and whether it is suited for them. We wanted to keep this in colour regardless of the photo being black and white, because that is a convention of the Sight and Sound themselves. Their title is always in colour, and so is the various other things that, like the BFI and the Every New Film Reviewed. They stay in colour, and it just makes it look more like a magazine and more professional. Moving on, another convention is having an image, and conventionally this is a MIG shot, which we've also used, and it's also tends to reflect the audience. We have complied to this convention by having a mature middle-aged man as our image, as this will tend to be what the audience will be. They will be more mature and older audience, as it's a specific film magazine for niche audiences that are looking for more detailed responses to films. And again, we reflect that audience through the style, by having a director, as when we completed our research and planning, we went out and did a survey monkey, and from that we found that the older generation, the target audience of Sight and Sound, preferred to see a director on the front cover, whereas the younger generation chose more for actors, which would have been for Empire. So for that we had our director as our image, George Fools, and that's he who appears here. Another convention is reflecting the film itself and the genre, and we've firstly done that straight away by the choice of colouring, so by having the sharp contrast of black and white. And this is something that noir fans will understand, and that is typical of classic noirs. And although it is a neo-noir that we have produced, neo-noir is a modern adaptation of classic noir, so that convention will be easily recognisable for those audiences that, for that niche audience that enjoy watching noirs and neo-noirs. Again, another convention of noir and neo-noir is smoking, and we've highlighted that by having our director with a cigarette and layered levels of smoke here to heighten that. And that again is just sticking to the convention of magazines, of reflecting the film, but also sticking to the conventions in neo-noir, as the smoke highlights the crime and the hidden identity by masking his face, and it just tends to be seen in noir films. Moving on, the darkness levels, this is also reflecting the film, because it masks and darkens half his face here, and that's giving that sense of deception and hidden identity, and in a more symbolic way is reflecting the contrast between light and dark, which you are seeing in neo-noirs with the battle between what is moral and what is immoral and right and wrong. The use of like our colouring and darkness levels is very similar to another Sight and Sound front cover, as you can see here, which has got Clint Eastwood. We were very much inspired by this front cover, especially because they've taken a similar, we took a similar take to them. You can see that there's dark shade to him down here and to the top, but his face is got a higher contrast to it. And again, this would have been done to reflect the audience that would be wanting to know about Clint Eastwood, and we decided to reiterate that colouring and that style of darkness levels, because Clint Eastwood has directed or starred in very similar films to ours. There's the American psycho thriller Play Misty for Me, which some would also classify as a classic noir. So again, the audiences will relate to that. He's also recently directing American Sniper, which is it's got very dark themes to it, and again that bridge between right and wrong. So that's why we took that quality from that particular poster. Moving on, another convention is buzzwords. So this isn't actually a typical convention of sight and sound. You won't see words like free or exclusive. They will be more apparent on film magazines such as Empire. But we have featured the buzzword plus, detailing to the reader that George Falls and the piece on his new film Underhand isn't the only thing for them to read this magazine. There's also going to be articles on Deep Focus, there's going to be a report on Toronto, and the Mexican and US border thrillers. This is something, again, they're for niche audiences. They will draw the particular target audience that Sight and Sound want. Just following on from talking about this text, this is another convention of magazines, the Anchorage text. So you hear, sometimes they will have a quote from the interview. We here have just given the detail of the film, that George Falls and his noir masterpiece, highlighting that he's the director. It's a film noir, and the masterpiece here just gives that sense. It's going to draw the audience in. It sounds like it'll be a very interesting film. They want to read about it and know why it is a masterpiece. And again, just talking about these, they link to other niche films. It's going to be drawing that audience. So that is the conventions that we stuck with. The other simpler ones that you see across all film magazines is having the barcode. Here you see the BFI, who would have distributed this, well, they would have produced and chosen the film to feature on Sight and Sound. And we've got the release date up here. And that just all makes it look like a professional magazine with the white border, reflecting a real media text. And I'm just going to quickly show you the different Sight and Sound magazine front covers that we were inspired by, or we looked at and researched. So this one here was slightly different to ours. They've still incorporated, we found it similar in the sense that he's wearing a shirt, it's a close-up of his face. However, it's slightly different because, as you can see from most other Sight and Sound, the person, the director or the actor, is looking straight at the camera. However, this one isn't, and we did a lot of research into this and discussed how this person's probably hiding something or wanting to run away from something that's like mysterious, and this is an actor that actually features in that film, so it's depicting that characterization. Moreover, this one, again, a bit different, but similar. It's that same kind of framing that we have in ours, of the mid shot and showing his neck and half of his body. However, this is in colour. It looks a bit older than the others. You can see it's published in December 2009. But we did look at that framing for our one. Again, this is, I think, from 2013. This is the most exciting actress in America, Frances Haas, Greta Gerwig. And again, similar, we were inspired by the fact she has a cigarette. That gave us a bit of inspiration alongside the neo-noir feature. And again, this one we just picked out because it's actually very different to our one, but slightly similar. So in terms of the similarities, it's in black and white, again, like the Clint Eastwood front cover, which we took, and it was clearly something that Sight and Sound liked to do. However, what I found really different was the text that they decided to use on this front cover. It's very different to any of the other ones they've used. It all sticks to a similar font, just block text. It's quite bold. However, this one is sans serif, and I think that just reflects the director. He's a bit more of a quirky, arty, some will say a little bit mad, and I think they just use that text to reflect that, and obviously he's a foreign director as well. So that is my magazine conventions for this. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.